Tonight we examine a Supreme Court decision that could have a direct impact on the price tags you see at your local store, the products you buy online, and even the jobs in your community. This is not just a story about legal arguments or political maneuvering. It's about the real-world consequences that ripple through every American household. At its core, this case could redraw the lines of power in Washington, shifting the balance between the branches of government and changing how our leaders make decisions that affect the entire nation. The Supreme Court has struck down the global tariffs imposed by former President Donald Trump, sending shockwaves through American trade policy and raising urgent questions about how the United States interacts with the rest of the world. These tariffs, which were originally intended to protect American industries and jobs, have now become the center of a constitutional debate. So, what exactly is a tariff? A tariff is essentially a tax placed on goods that are brought into the country from abroad. Governments use tariffs for several reasons: to shield domestic industries from foreign competition, to generate revenue, or as a bargaining chip in international negotiations. When tariffs are imposed, they can make imported goods more expensive, which often means higher prices for consumers and businesses alike. But this Supreme Court case was about much more than just taxes or trade policy. It was fundamentally about who in our government has the power to make these critical decisions. Should it be the president, acting swiftly and unilaterally, or should Congress, the body that represents the people, have the final say? The Supreme Court's ruling addresses a core constitutional question: does the president have the authority to impose sweeping tariffs on his own, without explicit permission from Congress? Or, does the Constitution require that such significant economic decisions be debated and approved by lawmakers, ensuring a system of checks and balances? For decades, presidents from both parties have gradually gained more leeway to act on trade issues, often citing national security or economic emergencies. But this ruling reasserts Congress's primary role in shaping major economic policies, reminding us that the power to tax and regulate trade was always meant to be a shared responsibility. It's a powerful check on presidential authority, reinforcing the idea that even in times of crisis, there are constitutional limits to what a president can do alone. This decision sends a clear message: no single leader should have unchecked power over the nation's economy. The effects of this decision will be felt far beyond the halls of government. It could influence America's relationships with trading partners, determine whether small businesses can compete in a global market, and impact the cost of everyday goods for families across the country. Understanding this case is key to understanding the forces that shape our economy, the rules that govern our democracy, and the ongoing debate over who truly holds the power to make decisions that affect us all. To understand today's decision, we need to look at how these tariffs were imposed. President Trump used the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA, to justify sweeping global tariffs, bypassing Congress by declaring national emergencies. This was a dramatic departure from traditional trade policy, sparking immediate legal and political challenges. Critics argued the IEPA was never meant for broad tariffs on friendly nations, but for targeted sanctions against hostile regimes. Lawsuits quickly followed, with businesses claiming financial harm and presidential overreach. The core issue: could the president wield such power without a clear mandate from Congress? The Supreme Court's decision in this case centers on what's known as the major questions doctrine, a legal principle that's become increasingly important in recent years. This doctrine is all about who gets to make the really big calls in our government, especially when those decisions could reshape the nation's economy or shift the balance of political power. According to the major questions doctrine, if the president or an executive agency wants to take action with sweeping economic or political consequences, they can't just rely on vague or general laws. Instead, they need clear, unmistakable authorization from Congress, something that leaves no doubt about what's allowed. In this case, the law at issue was the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA. This is the statute former President Trump invoked to justify imposing tariffs. But the IEPA doesn't specifically mention tariffs or taxes anywhere in its text, raising questions about whether it truly gave the president that power. The Supreme Court ultimately decided that imposing tariffs on trillions of dollars in international trade is far too significant a move to be based on ambiguous language. The justices said that for such a major economic action, Congress must give a much clearer, more direct green light. Some argued that the president should have broad authority in foreign policy and economic matters, especially in times of crisis. But the court pushed back, emphasizing that consistency and accountability are crucial. Major decisions that affect the whole country need to go through Congress. This ruling strengthens the major questions doctrine as a powerful check on executive authority, making sure that the president can't act alone when the stakes are high. The message to the White House is clear: if you want to fundamentally alter the nation's economy or take actions with far-reaching impact, you need Congress's explicit approval. The days of finding hidden authority in old, broadly worded laws are over. This decision marks a turning point, reinforcing the idea that only Congress can authorize the biggest changes in American law and policy. The tariff debate created unusual alliances and fierce divisions. Supporters included steel and aluminum manufacturers, who saw tariffs as a lifeline to rebuild American industry and counter unfair trade practices. Opponents ranged from car makers to small businesses, who said tariffs raised costs, disrupted supply chains, and hurt consumers. The opposition was bipartisan, with many in Congress arguing that only they, not the president, should have the power to levy tariffs. The public was split. Some saw tariffs as protecting American jobs, others as driving up prices. The debate pitted specific industries against the broader interests of consumers and the economy. This division highlights the complex effects of trade policy, helping some, hurting others. The Supreme Court's decision forces a reckoning with these trade-offs. The numbers reveal the true impact of the tariff war. The U.S. collected $174 billion in tariff revenue, touted as a win by the Trump administration, but most economists agree the real cost was paid by American businesses and consumers, not foreign exporters. Companies passed higher costs down the line, raising prices on everything from cars to appliances. If the government must refund billions in tariffs, it could mean a windfall for businesses and a major liability for taxpayers. The uncertainty of trade wars also chilled business investment and hiring. The economic story isn't just about revenue collected, but about costs passed on and opportunities lost. The Supreme Court's ruling could reshape these realities. As the Supreme Court case neared, both sides painted starkly different futures. President Trump warned of economic catastrophe if the tariffs were struck down, escalating trade disputes to make his point. His team argued tariffs were essential to fix trade deficits and protect American jobs. Economists and business leaders countered that these warnings were exaggerated, saying removing tariffs would boost the economy and lower prices. They argued that free trade benefits the economy as a whole, while tariffs raise costs for everyone. The Supreme Court's decision now puts these competing visions to the test. Will the end of tariffs bring disaster or relief? The nation is about to find out. Today's decision marks a historic shift in U.S. trade policy. For decades, presidents gained more power over trade. Now the court has reversed that trend. Major tariff actions will require explicit congressional approval, limiting the president's ability to act alone. This means future trade policy will demand public debate and political consensus, not executive decree. Congress is already moving to reclaim its authority, with bipartisan support for reining in presidential power. The ruling will likely make U.S. trade policy more stable and predictable, as foreign governments know major changes need Congress's backing. The era of sudden sweeping tariffs by executive order may be over. Trade policy is returning to the slower, more democratic process of legislative debate. This Supreme Court decision will be felt in everyday life, not just in Washington. Its impact will reach far beyond the halls of government, touching families, workers, and communities across the country. Whether you follow politics closely or not, the effects will be visible in the choices you make and the prices you see. The most immediate effect: lower prices for goods that were hit by tariffs, from cars to electronics. For many families, this could mean more affordable options when shopping for essentials or big-ticket items. It might even make it easier for young people to buy their first car, or for parents to upgrade a computer for their kids' education. For small businesses, the end of tariffs could mean survival and growth. Lower costs on imported materials and products can help local shops stay competitive, hire more workers, and invest in their communities. Entrepreneurs may find it easier to launch new ideas, knowing that sudden price hikes are less likely. The ruling reinforces the separation of powers, ensuring major economic decisions are made by Congress, not a single individual. This means that sweeping changes to trade policy will require open debate and input from elected representatives, making the process more transparent and accountable. It's a check on executive authority and a win for democratic debate. By restoring this balance, the decision protects the voices of ordinary Americans, giving them a greater say in how the country's economy is shaped. The decision brings more predictability for businesses and consumers, reducing the risk of sudden trade wars. With clearer rules, companies can plan for the future, families can budget with more confidence, and investors can make decisions without fear of abrupt policy shifts. While trade debates will continue, they'll happen in the open, with all Americans represented. This encourages more public participation and ensures that a wider range of voices are heard when shaping the nation's economic future. This is about more than economics. It's about the principles that define American democracy. It's a reminder that the rules we live by are meant to protect fairness, transparency, and the rights of every citizen. And that's something that matters to everyone, no matter where you live or what you do. The ripple effect of this decision will be felt in countless ways, shaping the daily lives of Americans for years to come.